You ever have one of those days where you wake up thinking everything's going to be fine? Your coffee tastes just right. Your wife is humming some 80s song in the kitchen, and the morning sun makes your whole backyard glow like a painting? And then, out of nowhere, you realize your world is about to flip upside down because three giant bikers are cornering your wife by the pond you both spent a year building together. Yeah, that happened. Not for money, not for anything simple, but as a message from the HOA president. A message that would kick off the craziest, darkest, most satisfying chapter of my life. They thought they were going to teach us a lesson, but in 3 minutes, I'd have them begging for mercy in our own backyard, and the whole neighborhood would never look at us the same way again. You know what they say? Peaceful lives are just glass houses. Beautiful, until someone throws the first stone. My name's Ryan Evans, and I thought paradise meant Oak Ridge Meadows, a little patch of suburban heaven where you mow your lawn, know your neighbors, and the worst argument is about leaf blowers at 7 a.m. My wife, Nancy, is a chemistry teacher, the kind who actually gets kids excited about learning the difference between covalent and ionic bonds. I investigate insurance fraud for a living. 15 years of catching people who think they're smarter than the system. On weekends, I'm a Marine reservist, which means I still believe in discipline, but also in mercy. We bought this place with a big backyard, and Nancy made it a showpiece. The crown jewel was our koi pond, and every fish in there was a story. 18 months of planning, county permits, $8,000 in savings. Every morning, I'd watch her feed those fish while I drank my coffee, thinking, we did it. We made it. The old HOA president, Mr. Henderson, used to say our pond made the whole neighborhood special. He'd bring his grandkids by just to watch the fish, always saying stuff like, this right here, Ryan, this is what a community ought to feel like. But then Mr. Henderson moved to Florida, and the HOA torch got passed to Donna Hall, a woman with a divorce in the rear view and a $250,000 inheritance burning a hole in her pocket. She won her spot with promises of elevated standards and protecting property values. I should have known we were in trouble when she showed up to her first meeting in pearls and a designer blazer, eyes sharp as broken glass, and started taking notes on everything, especially our backyard. The first real shot fired wasn't a knock on the door or a letter in the mailbox. It was Donna herself at the summer barbecue. All fake smiles and compliments for Nancy's garden, but her gaze locked on the pond like she was measuring it for demolition. Gorgeous water feature, she said, though I do wonder about the impact on property aesthetics. Nancy, being too nice for her own good, invited Donna over for coffee to talk it through. Worst mistake we ever made. That coffee turned into an interrogation. Permits, installation dates, costs, maintenance. Donna never blinked, and when Nancy explained every rule we'd followed, there was this flicker in Donna's eyes, pure hatred, quick as a knife, then gone. A month later, we got the letter, $750 violation for unauthorized water feature, immediate review required, escalating penalties, if unresolved. I read that thing 3 times, hands shaking. This wasn't about the pond, it was about power. Donna was testing us, and I could feel it in my bones. The same sixth sense that's kept me alive in fraud work and the Marines. Our permits were bulletproof. I had letters from the county, even a note saying the HOA had no jurisdiction. Didn't matter. This was about control. At the next HOA meeting, Donna presided like a queen. I presented my case, permits, water rights, case law. She let me finish, then said, with the world's coldest smile, Mr. Evans, I don't care what the county says. HOA authority supersedes all. The room went quiet. Nancy squeezed my arm so tight, I thought she'd leave a bruise. That night, I couldn't sleep. Something about Donna felt familiar. Her voice, the way she threatened without raising her voice. I brushed it off. I shouldn't have. 2 days later, Nancy was watering her roses by the pond, her favorite part of the day. Then 3 Harleys rolled up. They parked in our driveway like they owned the place, engines rumbling, the kind of guys who fill up a doorway and don't move unless they want to. The leader, a monster with a dragon tattoo, walked right up to Nancy, grinning. We're here about your compliance problem, ma'am. What they didn't know was I'd just pulled into the neighbor's driveway and saw it all go down. The question is, what happens when you threaten a Marine's family at 4:30 on a regular Tuesday? I floored my Civic, took 3 deep breaths, and stepped out like I was arriving for a church bake sale. Gentlemen, you have business with my wife. The leader sneered, called me office boy, made some threat about smart families not arguing with facts. I looked about as dangerous as a tax accountant. Khakis, polo, thin as a rail. What they didn't know was I've been trained for exactly this. Nancy, go inside now. She did. The bikers laughed. That didn't last. 15 years of reading people told me these guys were pros, but not smart. Prison tattoos, defensive scars, ankle monitor. These were Donna's muscle. When the leader stepped in, I took him down with a joint lock. He danced on one foot, face changing from cocky to terrified. The skinny one charged, so I swept his legs into Nancy's roses, screaming like a stuck pig. The big one hesitated, and I dropped him with a nerve hold. In less than 3 minutes, I had 3 grown men begging for mercy, while the neighborhood watched from behind curtains. As they limped away, my phone rang. Donna's number. Did my contractors complete the compliance work? She asked, smug as ever. You mean the ex-cons you sent to threaten my wife? Long pause. Then her voice turned ice cold. You always were too smart for your own good, Ryan. And just like that, I remembered Elena Martinez, the real estate fraudster whose empire I'd torched 3 years back. She'd lost everything because of me. Now she was back, and our little pond was just the bait. The next morning, the harassment campaign started. Anonymous calls. Your husband's violent behavior has been reported to authorities. Emails to Nancy's school, fake reports about me, criminal ties, fabricated violence. The principal called her in, shaken, asking for documentation. 12 years of teaching spotless record, and suddenly Nancy was under investigation because I'd defended her from thugs. Within 3 days, the school board put her on administrative leave. Social media exploded with safety alerts, photos of our house, our license plates circled in red, even shots of Nancy at school. Our neighbors, people who used to say hi, avoided us in the grocery store. The pool guy canceled. The mailman started leaving boxes at the curb. It was psychological warfare. Then, one Tuesday morning, Nancy found her prize roses. All the blooms, beheaded and scattered across the yard. And the koi food? Poisoned. We lost half the fish before we figured it out. That night, something broke in Nancy. She threw a mug across the kitchen, screaming, "How is this legal, Ryan? How can someone destroy your whole life with lies and no one even checks?" I called the only person who could help, Detective Maria Santos, my partner from the Martinez case. Before I could even finish dialing, she called me. "Ryan, we need to talk. Now." We met at Murphy's Diner. Maria laid out a file, 8 months of financial records, proof Elena was part of a $19 million crime ring, HOA scams running from Arizona to Maine. Your complaint triggered every fraud algorithm we have, she said. But Elena wasn't alone. She was just the local coordinator. The next day, I got a visit from Sal Benedetti, a man built like a linebacker in a suit. You're paying Donna's $45,000 debt, or there'll be consequences. Turns out Elena had borrowed the money from him for neighborhood improvements and used it to hire thugs. I showed him my evidence, photos, timelines, police reports, financials. His face changed from anger to shock to pure rage. She played us both, he said, offering a handshake. Help me get my money back, and I'll help you bury her. He was legit, just another victim. Meanwhile, Elena doubled down, hired a private investigator, snapped photos of me with Sal, blasted them online. Evan's family linked to organized crime. She called an emergency HOA meeting, stacked the deck with false evidence, staged a public vote to exile us from community spaces. 43 votes to 22. We were social pariahs. But what Elena didn't know was that Sophie Miller, her own secretary, had been recording every conversation, every illegal directive, every threat. At the final meeting, Sophie stood up and played the tapes. Proof of embezzlement, hiring thugs, vendor fraud, an avalanche of evidence. The room turned on Elena like a pack of wolves. Then Sal stormed in, waving legal documents, demanding his $45,000. By the time federal agents arrived, Elena was on the floor, babbling about protecting property values. The HOA voted her out unanimously, and the FBI hauled her away in cuffs. But here's the twist. Agent Carter pulled me aside after the arrest. Elena was just the local coordinator. The real players don't like witnesses. Here's a number. Call if anything weird happens. That night, I installed motion sensors, kept my phone by the bed, watched Nancy check the locks twice. The next day, the school apologized, gave Nancy her job back, and a promotion. Our neighbors started coming around again. Mrs. Vance, our retired teacher neighbor, showed up with cookies and a folder of evidence she'd gathered, hugging Nancy like family. Elena tried to rule the jailhouse, writing complaints on toilet paper, but nobody cared. Meanwhile, I found myself consulting for other neighborhoods, making more in a quarter than I used to in a year, helping them root out fraud. Federal raids took down the rest of the network, 73 neighborhoods, $50 million recovered. Elena got 8 years and $4.1 million in restitution. Sal got his money back, plus interest. Sophie started working with a consumer protection firm. Maria got promoted. Our community flourished. But the company Elena worked for? They didn't forget. We started getting anonymous threats, surveillance vans, dead flowers in circles around the pond. The war wasn't over. But here's the thing. People like Elena think fear is a weapon, but they don't understand how stubborn ordinary Americans can be. We taught our neighborhood how to fight back, and pretty soon the Evans Standard became the way fraud prevention was done across the country. We even made the news. Last Sunday, Nancy and I stood by the pond, watching koi swim under the fountain. Our life back together, but changed forever. Think she ever thought her revenge would end like this? Nancy asked. I didn't answer, just watched the sun go down, phone buzzing in my pocket. Another call about a copycat HOA scam. Elena started a war bigger than all of us. But the lesson's simple. When ordinary people refuse to be bullied, even the most powerful criminals can be brought down. So if you've ever watched someone try to ruin you and wanted to fight back, tell me your story. Was it justice? Was it revenge? Or was it just survival? Let's talk about right, wrong, and everything in between, because this fight, it's far from over.